Hi, my name's Dr. Catherine Hughes from Crime Psych. I'm a criminal psychologist and I run a business that enables me to bring knowledge and learning to everyone, not just those who are at college and university. I do this by producing a range of blogs, vlogs and free online courses, but I also run slightly more in-depth courses, both online and face-to-face. You don't need any previous qualifications to learn with me. There are several types available. So have a look at my website and see if you can make it to one of my events or learn online in your own time. This particular video is going to be looking at the psychology of learning. You might be surprised to hear how diverse the subject of psychology is. Even within specific aspects of psychology, such as the psychology of learning, there are numerous proposals for how we learn new information. Some psychologists will focus on the brain and which parts of the brain process what types of information. There is solid evidence to suggest that certain parts of the brain are responsible for learning new behaviours or some types of memory or different types of recall. Other psychologists focus on the behavioural responses towards different stimuli within our own environment. And this is known as the behavioural approach. Other psychologists focus on the behavioural responses towards different stimuli in the environment. This is known as the behaviourist approach. The behaviourist approach argues that learning is caused through the reinforcement of actions and routines and behaviours. There's also the social cognitive theory, which proposes that much of human learning occurs through our social environments, our day-to-day environments that we interact in. Unlike behaviorism, social cognitive theory provides a cognitive component for learning. There's also information processing theories, and they focus on the ways that information is collected, analysed and stored within the human brain. Whilst there is no single information process theory, there are several theories that can be categorised as information processing theories. One model is the two-store memory model, which is also called the dual memory model. And this model describes learning as storing information and knowledge from your own environment, from your short-term memory, and eventually from your long-term memory. The constructivism theory to learning argues that much of what we learn and understand about the world is constructed. Constructivists believe that knowledge is created within and rejects the idea of any pre-existing scientific knowledge waiting to be discovered. Various motivational theories play a role in the psychology of learning. John William Atkinson's theory argues that people are motivated to achieve their best. And this motivation is in part moderated by two different sources: the desire to succeed and the fear of failure. Another motivational theory is the expectancy value theory. And that states that motivation is moderated by your own desire for success, as well as the importance of the tasks that we need to do. Self-worth theory also plays an important role in learning, as students and individuals are motivated to learn and achieve because of their desire to maintain their perception of being high achieving. With so many theories on why we learn and why and how we learn, it could probably take a whole academic year to tell you everything that you needed to know about them all. Therefore, I'm just going to outline a couple and discuss how they suggest people learn new information. One of the behaviourist approaches to learning was proposed by Skinner, and he viewed human behaviour as being determined by the individual's interactions with their environment. He suggested that we learn through operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is a method of learning that occurs through reward and punishments for different types of behaviour. Through operant conditioning, a person makes an association between a particular behaviour and a consequence. So if a person touches an electrical fence, for example, they get a negative response, which is pain, and they're unlikely to repeat that behaviour. And same is true the opposite way. If a child puts their toys away, they get a positive response from their parent, such as a treat or a sticker, and they're likely to repeat that behaviour. Another behaviour psychologist was called Pavlov, and he is most well known for his learning experiments with dogs. Pavlov set up his experiments so that he rang a bell each time just before a dog was fed. Over time, the food was withheld, but the bell remained. And Pavlov found that the animals had been conditioned to associate the sound of the bell with the food. So when the animals heard the bell, the dogs began to salivate regardless of whether there was any food presented or not. Hermann Ebbinghaus examined learning by studying memory and forgetting. He used himself as his own experimental subject, and he used meaningless syllables from lists that he read several times over and over until he could recall them with high accuracy. Additionally, he attempted to recall the same list with certain delays, so for example with a delay of a few minutes or a day or a week or months later, and then he recorded his discoveries as learning curves and forgetting curves. A child psychologist called Jean Piaget is known for his theory of cognitive development that describes how children create a mental model of the world around them. His theory is important because it's one of the first theories that disagreed with the idea that intelligence was a stable, steadfast trait. His theory sees cognitive development as something that happens because of the biological maturation and the child's interaction with their surrounding environment. Piaget didn't want to measure a child's knowledge, such as their IQ score, but instead he focused on how children did with fundamental concepts. Piaget's theory proposes 4 stages. Before Piaget's theory, it was believed that children were just less competent thinkers. But the way that he sets his theory out suggests that these different stages that children mature in at different ages help to show that the children think in significantly different ways than adults do. A psychologist called Lev Vygotsky, if I've said that right, is best known for his theory on cognitive development. He was known for forming the social development theory. He developed his theories of cognitive development around the same time that Piaget was developing his theories. But Vygotsky believed that the social interaction plays a critical role in cognitive development. He places a much larger emphasis on culture and how it affects cognitive development. He also sees the importance of adults in cognitive development in children. Vygotsky says that the development cannot be understood without referring back to the social and cultural context in which the information was learned. He suggested that the child tries to understand the instructions and actions provided to them and then store the information so they can use it to guide their later performances. Piaget's theory says that a child's development must follow their learning, whereas Vygotsky disagreed with this. He believed that social learning tends to come before the development. In conclusion then, there are numerous ways that we can learn and many, many different theories on the process. All of these individual theories have their own specific strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, it would be fairly impossible to say beyond any doubt which one of these theories is most accurate and most correct. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this short video on the psychology of learning. I do hope that you've learned something new today. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.